Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where today we are back with the 2026 Toyota C-HR. This week I've been living with it, and as some of you know, I actually went to the launch event of this, the BZ Woodland, and the first look of the new 2027 Highlander EV out in Ojai, California earlier this year. And while I liked Ojai so much that Emily and I are actually headed back there for our honeymoon in a couple of months. But anyway, that's besides the point. I've been living with this Toyota C-HR this week, and I figured today I would take you all out on a little bit of a day in the life. We're going to run downtown. Welcome to Saline, Michigan, my new hometown. We're going to run downtown, grab a coffee, then we're going to go to the store. We're going to charge this thing publicly, which I don't know that we've ever done on Topher Drives, and then we're going to end at another grocery store stop. I have a couple of errands to run. I figured this would be the perfect time to throw the camera on and dive a bit deeper into the C-HR, because as you guys know, when we go to these launch events, we drive on custom tailored drive routes that are supposed to highlight the driving characteristics of these cars. And well, most of the time, they're just not realistic to daily life, which is why I've brought this to Michigan, or I've had Toyota bring it to Michigan for me, and we're going to drive it through some potholes. We're going to run some errands and see what it's actually like to live with day to day. Now, on my first video of this, we drove the SE model, the base model. This is one up from that. There are only two trim levels available for the C-HR, the SE and the XSE. This is the latter, and it's finished today in Tandoori, which I think is quite pretty. And we actually just drove the Subaru Uncharted, which is Subaru's version of this. Since we did a strictly city commute with that car, I thought we'd switch it up a bit for this. Now, this XSE is powered by dual electric motors. It has a 74.7 kilowatt hour battery. It has 338 horsepower, 323 pound-feet of torque. It has just under 300 miles of range. Toyota is still pretty conservative with range on their EVs. If you opt for the SE, you get 287 miles of range, but this XSE comes in around 273, I think it is. So not the biggest long distance cruiser, it's no Lucid Air, but for just getting you around town and things like that, which I think is kind of the point of this car anyway, it does do the trick just fine. Now, this XSE trim also gets these bigger wheels and some nicer things inside, which we'll show you in a minute. Today on a Yokohama Geolander 235/50 R20. Before we go out on the road, why don't we poke around this thing and we'll see what it looks like inside and out. I was actually really excited to drive the C-HR in Ojai a few months ago because I had this weird sort of soft spot for the first generation C-HR that was this very anemic little front-wheel drive CVT internal combustion hatchback thing that had like 130 horsepower. This dang near triples the power now. And I liked it because it was funky. It was something different, and they've kind of kept that alive here, that design language alive with this new generation C-HR. Anyway, in the back here, we have this accessory mat, which if we pull that out, which we're going to have to, and just nicely set it there for a second, you can see we have this split folding cargo area, which has been very annoying to live with this week, because when you go to lift this out of the way, okay, it's then very hard to put back, and mostly because it has these little charging adapters, which we're going to have to use later today. I went all week thinking that was a first aid kit, but it's charging adapters. Welcome to the future. Underneath we have some extra storage, but this whole thing, this like split folding thing, I guess now that I'm used to it, it's okay to put back into place. But room back here does seem to be all right, and the load surface is pretty low as well. So lifting stuff up and into this C-HR shouldn't really be a problem for you. Let's see if we can get this mat back in here. And I have had to put it on top of the charging adapter case because it doesn't stick to this. So that's how we get that to not move around. Obviously, we have a power rear hatch, and this is consistent with SE and XSE. I'm just noticing also this two-tone paint on the top has a little bit of blue flake. I don't always love filming in the sun, but it's nice for walk-arounds to see paint color. So basically, this is Detroit Tigers spec. Check it out. In the back, okay, they've kept the C-pillar mounted door handles, which I do love. I think that's a cool little throwback. Inside, we have Boulder synthetic suede is what they call it. So it's this very nice soft Alcantara feeling material, which actually feels exactly like the material in my 2004 Honda Civic Hybrid. Almost identical. Now, the C-HR is not the biggest thing in the world, obviously, so the back seat, it's a bit snug. And sat back here behind my seating position at 5'11", my legs are pushed into the seat. But you know, I don't think that's a huge deal. because not every car has to be massive. And luckily for you, Toyota makes two different versions of this car essentially that are one size and two sizes bigger, the regular BZ and the BZ Woodland being the big boy. So if you really don't need the back seat space, then this is probably the one you'd go with. Now this is in kind of a comfort access position, so probably it would be more accurate actually to sit right here, and my knees just barely caress the back of the seat on this one, and I guess that's a little bit more realistic. We've got a fold down armrest with some cup holders and a place to put your phone. That's pretty nice. And then we get heated rear seats and some climate vents and USB-C ports. So some decent stuff back here, but as far as headroom goes, I feel okay, and then legroom is just all right. And since this is an EV, we don't have a drivetrain hump, which means you could even use the middle seat. Under the hood, which I feel obligated to show you, even though there's really nothing to see. Actually, the most disappointing thing is that you don't get a frunk with the C-HR. It's all just electric motor stuff. But I saw a comment on one of the Topher's videos the other day that was like, it's cool that they make this so accessible, but I don't really know what you'd be accessing. Unless you're an EV master tech, this would probably be something that you just take to the dealer. But someday we're all going to have to learn, right? Maybe this will be a cool car to learn on. Coming around to the passenger side, we have the charge port, which is on the front. This has a NACS port, which means today at the Electrify America charger, we are going to have to use an adapter. We have those in the trunk. That's okay. This can charge from 10 to 80% in about half an hour. So we'll have to see what time is like. We're at about 40% charge right now, so it should do a little bit faster, and we'll just kind of walk around the store to kill some time. Anyway, though, I think that's good for an exterior walk around, and I'll have my other video to this linked in the description, as I was fresh off of the presentation for this car, so I may have had some better information. A look here at the front seats, more of that synthetic suede. We've got lumbar adjust, and the seats themselves actually look pretty nice. There's some nice detailing with this Syntex here on the side as well, or Softex, whatever Toyota calls that, synthetic leather these days. And then we'll get in here and we'll start this up, and we'll get started with our day after we show you the dashboard layout. Normal sort of Toyota bings and bongs there as the Prius cockpit comes to life, the space pod as I like to call it. This has the setup that we first saw in the current generation Toyota Prius, and it's this little steering wheel that sits down close to your legs, the instrument cluster that sits high up and far away, and then the massive infotainment screen in the middle. We see Toyota employ this design to all of their current EVs, Subaru's current EVs, and of course the current generation Prius as it started the trend. I've gotten used to it at this point, but I actually really liked what Subaru did with the Uncharted. They put a square steering wheel in it, which meant that you didn't have to worry about the bottom of the steering wheel running into your legs, and you also didn't have to worry about the top of the steering wheel obstructing your view of the cluster. Made a whole lot of sense. I would like to see maybe Toyota implement that into their C-HR. The only bummer is, obviously, the Subaru steering wheel feels less good in the hands, but I feel like it's trade-offs here. Otherwise, in here, normal Toyota EV stuff, 2 wireless chargers up here below the climate vents, which I think are a little bit too low, and I hate when manufacturers prioritize the big infotainment screen over climate vents. Shifter, a few physical buttons here for your drive modes, traction off, camera view button, always like to see that. Some cup holders, extra storage below the console, and then you have the center console, which opens both ways. Unfortunately, no glove box, which is one of the downsides of living with one of these new Toyota electric vehicles, is if you go somewhere like to a trailhead or something, you're mountain biking, you want to lock up your belongings somewhere, well, there's nowhere to do that in here because there's no glove box. So would like to see a glove box implemented. I want to say, I remember when I went to the launch of the Lexus RZ, I think they said there was no glove box because it was radiant heating, but I would give up radiant heating to just have a glove box. Anyway, door panel materials are nice. You've got more of that synthetic leather here on those, and they are split in coloring, which is nice. Got some of that bolder gray and then the black to go into the top of the dash. Materials overall in here feel all right, and I haven't really noticed anything rattling this week. Big pano roof on this XSE, and really what the XSE trim does is unlock options for you. So you're able to get the JBL sound system, you're able to get the cold weather pack, and you're able to get this panoramic roof. All in all, adds up to about $4,000 in options. This one as spec today, about 43 grand, and we will have the spec down in the description for you. The XSE, it's only 2 grand more than the SE, so I feel like they kind of trick you there. Cameras are nice quality. You can see we have 360 and reverse. When you go into drive, it does not pull up the front camera, but you're able to hit this camera view button, and it will. First impressions always with these Toyota EVs, and really all the cars that are set up with this little steering wheel, is how fluid all of the inputs are. The steering is very soft and silky, not quite to the level of Lexus, but it's pretty close. And I think they do this on purpose, because if you're already making a little bit of a sacrifice here with kind of putting up with this new style of interior, it should at least be very easy to drive, and they have made it that way. You've got 4 levels of regen here, which you can activate with the steering wheel paddle shifters. This Toyota C-HR, and in fact no Toyota EV, will fully one-pedal drive, so you have to do the last little bit yourself. I don't know why Toyota is still not on the one-pedal drive bandwagon. I know not everyone loves that, but it just makes things so much easier when you're in an EV, and it's kind of my preferred way to drive them. Steering itself is pretty quick as well. It does kind of make these fun to drive, and kind of being in this little space pod setup, it's just a fun experience overall. It's the most fun in the Prius, because the Prius is kind of like the enthusiast car of the bunch. Crazy thing to say, but hey, in 2026 I feel like it is. Anyway though, it's a very slow speed limit into my new little downtown area, which I am excited to show you guys. I think I've driven through here before, maybe on like the end of a backroad spirited drive, because the end of my favorite backroad ends in this city, which is another reason I was so excited to move here. Use this regen braking to drop us down to the new 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. The speed limits are painfully slow around this area. My Civic Hybrid, though, is perfect for them. Got some construction going on right now as well. We'll squeeze through. The C-HR doesn't feel big, even though obviously it has gotten bigger for its new generation here in the US. I think it's still a reasonable size. It's interesting also, this is sold in Europe as the C-HR Plus. It's a completely different model from the regular C-HR, because when the C-HR died in the US, it continued in other markets. So there was an entirely new generation of the ICE car that we didn't get. So now this is built alongside that. It's interesting, but over here, it's just the C-HR. In my mind, this is the sort of small town activity that EVs are designed for anyway. You know, you use your 43% charge to putz downtown to the coffee shop. We'll use one of the 2 cup holders. I'll have to put my phone on a wireless charger, which I hate doing, especially on a sunny, hot day like today. Well, it's not hot, it's only 72, but on a full sun day, you know, your phone just gets hot in general, and then you set it on a wireless charger and it makes everything worse. I hate wireless chargers. I think they're one of the dumbest inventions of our generation. And usually I try to snag one of these little street spots here, but looks like they're all full, so we'll go to the lot today. That is okay. We'll be able to show you what this thing is like in parking spaces. We're actually going to do that a couple of times today. Just making a couple different stops. I have been keeping this on its highest level of regen. Seems to be a good level. And the brakes here, you are able to get into them very progressively and do your limo stops. Something I think they've improved on for the newer cars. So the C-HR, the Uncharted, the BZ Woodland, the Trail Seeker, they stop a little bit smoother than the original BZ and the Solterra. Those cars were impossible to limo stop in, but these feel better now. As you saw there, parking cameras doing the trick. Comfort access, this is putting my seat back. We've got 2 memory seat settings. Parked up here in the shade, fits in the parking space with no problems. And we need some coffee today to boost the energy, I think, for the video. So I'm gonna go get that now, and I will be right back. Walking back up to the C-HR with my coffee that has a mustache on it, you'll see that we have proxy key. That's lovely. Obviously, though, one of the prices you pay with the C-pillar door handles is that you don't get rear proxy key. It's the price you pay for clean body lines, I suppose. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump back in here, and we're going to take this to the Electrify America chargers, which, seriously, I don't think we've ever charged an EV on Topher Drive. So it'll be a first experience for us doing that today. Also, I've put my phone down underneath because I forgot this little compartment existed. So if you don't want a wireless charge, you have that option. Pushing down and over on the shifter, and off we go. Normally, when I pull out of this driveway in something like my Cayman S, I do have to angle, but C-HR, plenty of ground clearance. No worries there. It is probably the nicest thing about daily driving an SUV is not having to worry about scraping on essentially anything. Just drive wherever you want. Goodbye, downtown Celine. Thank you for the coffee. Now let's get out and find somewhere that has a speed limit faster than 25. Now, while Toyota EVs don't necessarily stand out in the way of performance or range, they do seem to stand out in the way of quality. Like, this feels like a quality item. Driving this around, it's very quiet. All of the interior seems very well put together. Like, I feel like they put a lot of time and effort into making this feel somewhat luxurious. Like, this doesn't really feel like a step down from the Lexus RZ. Like, even touching this nice leather wrapped steering wheel, I am happy with quality in this interior. Seat comfort is nice. You have that little bit of lumbar adjust, only goes in and out, does not go up and down, but it does go out pretty far, like almost as far as an old Lincoln Town Car. Pretty good stuff there. Sitting in this car is good. Visibility out of it is pretty decent. I would maybe like to see a camera rearview mirror on this just because the back window is kind of sloping. So your opening there, your visibility, it's fine, but it could be better. Side visibility is good. I think the mirrors are a good size. And then obviously you've got this massive windshield, massive dashboard. You're able to see everything you need out of the front. And you can just about see the corners of the hood, so it's easy to place the front of this as well. Though it is such a small car that you don't really have to worry about scraping the front on anything. Ride quality in this is fantastic. Like, it just soaks everything up so well. And it's hard to judge stuff like this when you're out in California on those perfect roads. But after spending a few days and 84 miles in this car this week, driving it around Michigan, like, I'm thoroughly impressed with the ride quality. I really think these Toyota EVs are some of the most livable EVs when you're just doing this sort of thing, you know? They're really nice, just little runabouts. Great city cars. Throttle response is good, nice and progressive on initial tip-in, and then when you get into it a little bit, you do feel the power. Now, I was shocked by this when I first drove the C-HR because it's actually a fast vehicle. It weighs like 4,000 pounds, and you think, okay, 338 horsepower in a 4,000 pound car, whatever, it'll be like a V6 Charger. And okay, maybe it is, but it's a V6 Charger that comes on instantaneously. Like, it honestly kind of rips. Like, you get this off the line, it feels like it does 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, which for a C-HR is hysterical, because the old one, like we talked about earlier, I think it took like 11 seconds to get to 60. It was so slow. And this is just such the polar opposite as far as performance goes. It's so funny that this has the C-HR badge. But I think this is what cars like that should be like. You know, like you have the funky exterior styling and then you put your foot down in it and it absolutely rips, which we can't show you because we have traffic right here, but we'll show you once we have an opportunity. I think we'll find an excuse to do an entrance ramp or two in this video. I suppose actually while we're on this very boring section, we could do a sound system test on the JBL. This gets you these extra tweeters and a sub. Otherwise, the door speakers are the same as the bass system in the SE car. We give this a little test here, see how it sounds. genuinely good sound system in this. Now, it sounds good most of the time, and when you're listening to songs at sort of mid-level volumes, it's excellent. Where it sometimes falls apart is on the very high complex levels when you're listening to music really loud. I was listening to like some obnoxious old ABBA song yesterday, and it was just sort of screeching away out of the tweeters. But 90% of the time, the sound system is good. It's got good power from the subwoofer in the back as well. So I would say it's a worthy upgrade. I think it's only like $900 or something to opt for the JBL. So I would go for it if I were going to have a CHR. I'm so bummed out that this doesn't fully one-pedal drive because the regen is so nice and progressive and easy to learn. Like, if it would just go that extra little way and come to a complete stop, I think they would have this dialed in really well. But they must just not be happy with like their 5 to 0 mile an hour smoothness or something. I don't know why else they wouldn't put it in. Or, you know, Toyota might have some reason for like not believing in one-pedal drive or something like that. I don't know. This road, which is currently highlighted in orange, is going to be shut in 3 days, which is very inconvenient for me getting to the highway, but it appears today it is still open, so we're going to take it, and that will lead us to our Electrify America chargers. All right, coffee, hold on. Blast off. But no, this thing seriously rips. And Car and Driver was complaining that this doesn't handle very well, and I just don't think that's the case. I think it handles great for what it is. Yes, it has body roll, and it does feel a little bit like it's on stilts, but who cares? Why do we need a CHR to be handling like it's on rails? You go and buy a GR Corolla if you want to do that with your fast hatchback Toyota. This is more of a Grand Touring sort of situation. Overall, NVH in the CHR seems to be pretty nice. Got a little bit of wind noise from these pillars here, but the geolanders are actually quiet. Also, sorry about the deep, sort of sickly voice that I just can't seem to shake. It's been a few days since I've started feeling better, but the groggy, sick radio voice remains. Maybe some of you like it better. If you do, you're welcome. Okay, pulling up to Target. This one, famous for having Electrify America chargers in its parking lot. Now, there's a reason we haven't done public charging on Topher drives, and it's because I hate it. I think it's stupid. It's too expensive. It never works properly, and it's annoying to have to deal with. But, you know, part of living with an EV is having to do this. So we're going to go and do it now. I hate public charging so much that I've lived in my new house for less than a month, and I've already had a charger installed. Pull up these parking cameras to get ourselves pulled in here. There we go. This charge port is on the front. There we go. Okay, parking brake will automatically apply. Car is sitting at 40% charge, 99 miles of range. In theory, this should get to 80% in like 15, 20 minutes. So by the time we like walk back out of the store, I don't even need anything in the store, but it's something to do while you're charging. You know, I think it at least, ooh, look at that beautiful GMT 800 Yukon XL. It makes sense that they put these at stores because then you can go do something while the car charges. And I know it's not that huge of a time commitment, you know, having this do its thing in like half an hour, whatever. Okay, we need to get the adapter out. Now, there should be a way to take this to a Tesla charger these days. Most of these companies will support that. I know Hyundai, the Ioniq 5 long-termer we have, you're able to go to the Tesla stations and do that whole thing. Whatever, we're going to have to get back into that anyway. So you get this guy, you plug this into the port, like so. We have removed the account balance from the app. What? Okay, right, so first thing you do is plug in, like so. Plugged in, connecting to vehicle. This may take a minute, it says. Charging connector not fully inserted. Right? Okay, that is... I did notice there was no click when I plugged that in. Ah! Right. Okay. That is what we need. Now try. Connecting to vehicle. Yes! Yes! Oh no, I don't have my phone. Initiating charging. These things always sound like they're gonna blow up when they start. 60 cents per kilowatt hour. 1 hour and 5 minutes left until 100%. Right, well I don't need it to do 100%. It's charging at 67, 72 kilowatts. 73 kilowatts. Okay, well I'm gonna go into the store for a little bit and we'll see how much charge we gain and how much it costs. Walking back from the store, and you guys aren't gonna believe what I found in there. 18th scale Mona Lisa from Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift and Brian's Supra from the first Fast and Furious. What was I saying? They put these at stores so you'll go in and spend money? Well, I've been a casualty to that today. But these are so cool. How could you not get these? And now that I have the new house, I have more wall space to fill with display cases. So these will be perfect for that. Anyway, we're at 80%. It's been 22 minutes since I plugged the car in. Yeah, there you go, 22 minutes. It's cost me $19 and I've gained, it's at 80%, it was at what, 49? So we've gained just over 30% charge. That's it, that's all we need. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this, and then it gives you a 10-minute grace period to sit here idle before it charges you for taking up the spot. You know, that I'm not against, because people would just be taking up these spots. So we'll go ahead and unplug. Overall fees, $20.67. We'll go ahead and close this up and we'll put our adapter back. Also, I am acknowledging that it was mostly my fault that the first one wasn't working, but usually you put the adapter in the car first and then you plug the plug in. I've never had to like plug the adapter first into the plug and whatever. I guess like the leverage and like the angle that needed to be achieved, it had to be a certain order of actions, but whatever. We got it done. We got this up to 80%. It was $20, but it's just one of those things where like if you have a level 2 charger installed at your house, it makes your life so much easier because you never have to worry about doing this sort of thing. But if you're road tripping the car, you kind of have no choice. Or if you live in an apartment or something, you also have no choice and you have to do this, unless you, I guess, live in an apartment that has chargers in the parking lot. But this is the current infrastructure. This is what we're doing. And we're now up to 196 miles of range at 80%. So let's go ahead and move on to our last stop, which is going to be the grocery store. I have to get some more breakfast items for myself this week. So we will go do that now, and we're gonna take the long way because I want to show you what this is like on the highway, show you the cruise control, all of that stuff, because that was another thing we couldn't do when we were out in Ojai. There were actually a line of people in here waiting for Pokemon cards, but I chose to spend my money on die-cast cars instead, and I didn't have to wait in line, so it was kind of like a win-win for me. This does have the cross traffic alert, which if you do as much as think about lifting your foot off of those brakes while you're pulling out of a parking lot, it does beep at you. Climate control panel, that's all in the infotainment. And the vent placement sucks. So trying to aim these at yourself is very annoying. This one though is good. The one to the left of the steering wheel, that one does an okay job. Now there is no sport mode. It's great. You know, it's perfect for things like that because the suspension is a little bit soft and you have a little bit of sidewall on these tires. So when you want to do a Michigan entrance ramp, which is usually riddled with potholes, there you go, C-HR, perfect for that. We'll show you cruise control. We're going to get off and right back on because we need to be right where we just were, but give you a second to observe the highway NVH. really not too bad, but I am still a little bit clogged up in my head from the sickness. So I'm not a great judge of that right now. All right, let's try and catch this Infinity. I think it'll happen pretty quick. Road holding is pretty good. This is such a crappy entrance ramp because you then have to go flat out. QX60. That's an old V6 one. Now he's doing all right. All right, we're accelerating in an appropriate manner. Look at that, merging at 70. Cruise control, super easy. Except the lane tracing does sort of try to rip the wheel out of your hands as soon as you push the button. It's weird because you can have a lane keep assist that's kind of on, or you can have one that's fully on, and this will fully steer the car for you. But it does ask that you touch the wheel, I don't know, about every 10 seconds or so. But we're gonna kill this because we are getting off the highway. Cruise control seems to work okay, and I like how easy it is just being able to hit this singular button up here on the top right of the steering wheel button panel. Yeah. But anyway, okay, this is just about going to wrap it up because we are going to a store that's just right over here off the exit. But what I really wanted to show was mostly the ease of use in day-to-day life for one of these Toyota electric vehicles, because most of the things that you interact with in here are fine, including this climate control panel, because it does stay constant, and these knobs are actually physical, even though they are part of the screen. You get a volume knob in here, the infotainment works fine, wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, all this stuff. And if you can get used to the new ergonomics of these Toyota interiors, that's not the right turn lane, then you'll be just fine. But it's one of those things where you do have to find the happy medium here with not having the wheel touching your legs and being able to see the gauge cluster. But I have grown to really like driving these around. I think they're fun to drive, they're nice to live with, and if you don't have to charge in public, it's even better, which I know I'm being a little bit dramatic about the situation, but nobody likes public charging. It's just not, it's not ideal. But I think out of the 3 EVs that Toyota currently offers, the C-HR is the one I would pick because it's the cheapest, it looks the best, and it's available in orange. So there you go. It's a little bit quirky. See if this guy stops. Yep. Nobody looks where they're going, including this Buick Verano that's cutting across parking spaces. Let's hit our camera view button. Perfect. Usually I don't pull nose in, but I love this spot in this lot because it's massive. We'll shut this off. We'll give you one last look at it, and I guess that'll wrap it up for our day in the life here in a little bit of a different environment. Let me know what you guys think. I think cars that are a little bit more performance-y, we probably will stick to the old route just because we have that performance section at the beginning. But for a car like this, that's really just about kind of putzing around town and has the power available when you need it, I think this route will be okay. But let me know what you think in the comments, and also let me know what you think of this Toyota C-HR. Still looking good in 2026. So cool, that'll wrap it up. Again, I'll have 2 videos in the description. I'll have my first impressions on the C-HR and my Subaru Uncharted city commute. So lots of content on this car. This will probably be the last video I do on this. So thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.